So I don't know if you guys saw John's video yesterday, but basically at 4 a.m. for a couple of hours, the entire Battles of Legend Armageddon set was completely uploaded to the Yu-Gi-Oh! Card database. Now, I didn't get a chance to screenshot this or make a video about it before it was taken down, and right now if you go on that page, you'll see that it just says coming soon. I'm not sure how this happened. It was clearly a mistake. I mean, even on Konami's official YouTube channel later on that day, they had a reveal video going up for some of the cards in the set, so it wouldn't make sense to reveal everything just a few hours before that video went live. John, of course, was not the only person to notice this though, and plenty of other Facebook pages and Twitter pages and YouTube channels were able to post the information before it was taken down. It goes without saying that because this is not currently available on the Yu-Gi-Oh! Card database, that technically speaking this is all still speculation, but in reality I think that someone at Konami accidentally scheduled this upload for the wrong day. Considering that Konami has used the card database in the past for some other releases to reveal the entire set, I think that the reveals were true, they just were released on the wrong day. So in today's video, I'm going to talk about the top 10 reprints from Battles of Legend Armageddon. The Battles of Legend sets have a lot of hype. I mean, these are some of the most exciting sets out of the entire year, and while this one seems to not be getting that same reaction after these reveals, I still think it has a lot to offer, and I hope you guys see that in today's video. The actual numbering of the cards in today's video doesn't matter too much, and also there are more than 10 good reprints. I just wanted to focus on the 10 that I found the most exciting. Anyway, the first one that I want to talk about is Madolche Angeli. This is a great reprint for a fan favorite deck that has been a contender for quite a while, not necessarily as a meta strategy, but more as a rogue contender. That being said, a lot of the cards in the deck that were core pieces hadn't been reprinted in quite a while and were pretty darn expensive. Pretty recently in Dual Overload, Madolche Mageline as well as the rank 5 monster both received reprints, which was really helpful, but Madolche Angeli was still pretty expensive, which made it difficult to build the deck for budget players. Now though, pretty much every single previously expensive Madolche card has been reprinted, making the entire deck a lot more budget friendly. Next up we have Obedience Schooled, which is a really big reprint. There is an upcoming archetype that has a lot of monsters that work with this spell, and you probably want to play 3 copies of it in every single deck list. I know this card isn't super expensive right now, but the last printing was like 6 years ago in the 2014 Megatons, so I feel like without this reprint it actually might have been pretty expensive, especially considering how excited people are for that new archetype. Frostsheep is also receiving its very first holographic reprint. I expected this would have been in an OTS pack, but I guess they decided to put it in the Battles of Legend. Either way, it's pretty cool. I know this card isn't being played that much right now, but it still is a very good Link 2 monster, pretty much for any deck that is using fusion monsters or ritual monsters. I know it technically works with Xyz and Synchro monsters as well, but the bonus effects for those summons don't really matter nearly as much as rituals and fusions. That being said, even though the card is not seeing that much play right now, any deck that is playing this card will be very excited to have a holographic upgrade. I know personally I'll be picking up 1 copy for my Shaddoll deck. There's also the very first Blackwing Chris, who was in Premium Gold Return of the Bling many years ago. This is a pretty big deal. This card was almost $10, and I believe it's a mandatory card for every dedicated Blackwing strategy, so a lot of players are going to be excited for this reprint. Blackwings are actually a pretty cool deck. They recently received a bunch of indirect support out of Dual Overload. They can perform some pretty crazy combos on turn 1, and I think that this reprint will get a lot more players excited to try out the strategy. Next up we have Chimeratech Mega Fleet Dragon, a card that prior to this reprint only had 1 printing, and that printing was out of the legendary dragon decks, which aren't easy to find these days. At this exact moment, this card is only like $5, so not crazy expensive, but when it was a meta contender, when Orcus was actually playing Cyber Dragons, this card was like $10, sometimes even more than that, so having a reprint is a really good idea just in case it ever becomes meta once again. Mecha Phantom Beast O-Lion is receiving its first holographic printing in this set, and a lot of players are pretty excited for this because it is currently being played in pretty much any deck that is using Crystron Helki Firebacks. It is one of the bigger combo pieces of those types of decks. But not only is this the first holographic printing of Mecha Phantom Beast O-Lion, it's also the first reprint the card has ever seen. It was only printed in Primal Origin several years ago, and right now now, because of how good it is and because it was only printed once, this base rare card is priced at around $17 a copy. That means that this reprint not only gives players a chance to use a holographic version, but also it's going to be a lot less expensive, which is good for pretty much every single type of player. Admittedly, I do hope some part of that combo actually gets hit on a future ban list, but for right now, while it is still legal, you might as well play with a holographic version of Olion. I sort of feel the same way about Dragon Buster Destruction Sword. This card is currently being used in a pretty degenerate combo that players are doing with Union Carrier, but if that combo is going to remain legal for the next couple of months here before we have a new ban list at least, I think players should be happy to have a holographic version of the card. Next up we have number 39 Utopia, and this might sound weird, right? Because who cares about a Utopia reprint? Well, I care about it when it's in the Astral language as a Starlight rare. I remember when this version of the card was revealed for an OCG release, and I was really curious if they were going to add it into the TCG as well, and this really is the perfect set to do it. So this Battles of Legend will have two different Starlight rare cards that you can possibly pull, although they are very, very hard to get. The first one is that crazy version of number 39 Utopia, and the second one is 10,000 Dragon. I'll probably talk more about 10,000 Dragon in a future video, especially if we make a video talking about the new cards out of Battles of Legend Armageddon, but for now, just know that there are two really crazy Starlight rares, one of which uses a font that we've never seen before on a Yu-Gi-Oh card, and one of which is the celebration card for hitting 10,000 unique cards in the Yu-Gi-Oh TCG. Please keep in mind though that you will need to have a translation for this version of the card. It is still a legal TCG card. It will have a normal card back, but because it doesn't really have any real text on it, I mean besides the Astral text, you will need to have for a place to play it. I don't think it's that hard to find one, because any deck that's using the Utopia double combo obviously has to use one copy of number 39 Utopia. Next up we have Invocation, which does have multiple printings already. You had the original Fusion Enforcers printing, you had the OTS Tournament Pack 6 Ultimate Rare printing, and then you had the Shadows in Valhalla Super Rare reprint as well that made it a little bit more affordable. However, even with all those printings, the card was very expensive. The Secret and Super printings were both pretty short printed, and the Ultimate Rare is an Ultimate Rare, which means it's pretty hard to pull. This reprint hopefully will make it a lot more affordable for many players. I know at least in my own comment section that I saw many Shaddoll players really disappointed that they couldn't afford the Invoked engine, so hopefully now this reprint will make the card budget friendly. And finally, Chaos Emperor, the Dragon of Armageddon. So this was part of 5 different monsters that were all retrained version of iconic dragons in Yu-Gi-Oh! You have Dark Armed and Trishula and Judgment Dragon and Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon, and then this one as well. While the other cards were the last Shonen Jump promo cards, this one was a prize card, which meant that it was very, very expensive. It actually was played in certain strategies, like Thunder Dragons actually did play this card, sometimes in multiple copies. As a prize card though, it was very difficult for history of reprinting prize cards like Utopia Kaiser and Minerva, so it wasn't very surprising to see this card as the main cover card for the entire set. This card also goes great if you picked up a lot of the new Chaos cards out of Toon Chaos, so if you built a deck with the Chaos Creator or Chaos Space, you'll probably want to try this card. I still feel it has a lot of really good reprints like the ones that I mentioned in today's video, and a lot of really cool new cards. We don't know a lot about the Maximum Gold set yet, but we do know that it has a big reprint in Appaloosa Bow of the Goddess, so I think between those two sets and the upcoming Megatins, we'll have a lot of great reprints. Oh, and don't forget to use my link in the description below to tcgplayer.com if you choose to buy any cards from the set. A portion of all the sales that happen after clicking that link will go right back into the channel. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching today's video. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.